We're all about turning a crappy situation into something positive.
$250,000 of credit
I
card debt.
still remember the day when no one turned up.
Throw it in the garbage and start from
I
scratch.
could give myself a chance, so I started something.
I mean, I think that counts as from poop to gold.
Our sponsor for this episode is our 14-day video script challenge.
Yes, we are sponsoring our own show.
Yes, we are.
Welcome back to From Poop to Gold. I'm Benton Crane, your co-host. I'm here at the Sundance Film Festival, and we have a really unique and interesting guest that I want to introduce you to. This is Stephen Greenwood.
Hi, guys.
And Stephen is the founder of Diver. I just experienced Diver, but I'm not even going to attempt to explain what I experienced until I let Stephen intro. What is Diver?
Yeah, Diver is the world's first aquatic VR experience. So we have invented a headset that lets people do virtual reality in the water, complete with a snorkel, so that they can float on the surface of a pool and feel like they're floating through space, skydiving, or scuba diving through the ocean. And it's opened up an entirely new set of experiences for the virtual reality market. We've found a really healthy business in the water park industry.
Okay.
And it's turned out that there's been an incredible reception to it, not only because of some of the technical aspects of this product, but just some of the new experiences that we're able to unlock with the combination of water and virtual reality.
Right, so I put on the headset, put on a snorkel with it, climb down into the pool, and you actually tether me to the bottom of the pool so that I can't float around and bump into other people and other things.
That's right.
But when I'm going through the experience, I don't feel tethered. I don't realize that I'm tethered. So I have this experience, the virtual reality experience that you put me through. I'm swimming in the ocean. So there's sea turtles. I'm swimming with whales. I'm kind of navigating through coral reef. And it really feels like I'm moving through the water.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. One of the key discoveries that we made as soon as we tested the first prototype is actually that there's a really interesting thing that happens when you combine virtual reality and water. When the human body is in water, the inner ear, which is responsible for our relation to gravity, essentially turns off. So your body says,
That's
okay.
what causes dizziness, right?
Exactly. In normal VR, if somebody sees something moving and their brain is telling them that their body should be moving, but their body isn't sensing that feeling of speed or acceleration, that's where sickness comes from.
Okay.
So in water,
motion sickness, right?
Motion sickness, yeah. And so you just don't have that same risk in water. That sense in our brains shuts off. So any sort of motion that happens in the virtual world, your body fully believes and readily thinks is happening. So, even though people are stationary in one spot, it actually feels like you're traveling for many, many feet or miles.
So give us some other examples of what an experience could consist of.
Yeah, we just invented a new type of experience that involves putting sort of a propeller in the water that people hold onto with handles. And in the virtual world, they have also a futuristic version of this propeller, and they're moving with great speed through the water. So it's kind of like a James Bond action scene where you're doing barrel rolls and corkscrews, and actually, we're making you feel as if you're going upside down. But your body is staying completely horizontal. And usually everybody would rip off the headset, if they weren't doing this in water, but somehow we're able to get away with it. And that was just one of the magic discoveries that we made right in the early days. That was the thing that really convinced us that, okay, we have something here, and it's not just a crazy idea, it's something that we can work with and something that's worth exploring further.
Wow, so I feel like for the past several years, VR has kind of been in the headlines all the time about, VR is the next big thing. But from my observation, there haven't been many applications for VR that have really found any large levels of commercial success. Mm-hmm. What level of commercial success have you guys seen so far, and what do you see the future looking like?
Yeah, VR is tough because the equipment has only gotten better for consumers in the last few years. Mm-hmm. A lot of the barriers to entry, like an expensive computer and all these things, have prevented it from becoming a mainstream thing, let's say. We're just now at the point where it's almost equivalent to an expensive gaming system, like a Xbox or a PS4. And so you have that crowd that's I think, already interested in that sector. They're slowly moving into VR. But I often make the analogy that VR is kind of like what you have with movies. You have people that go to the cinema, and you have people that set up expensive home theaters in their own home.
Yep.
Right? You got those two types of people. And we cater to the people that love to go to the cinema. There's tons of people who want to go do virtual reality experiences, but they will go somewhere physically to go do them.
So they don't necessarily care about geeking out on the technology or owning it or anything like that. They just want to experience it. Exactly. They want to have a new, cool experience.
Exactly, and that's really who we've designed this business model around. And so we install our systems at water parks,
Okay.
where they already have thousands of guests every day, and people are looking for new attractions at these water parks. And so the advantage there is that all of that infrastructure is built. These places exist, their staff operates these things daily, and we come in, we bring new technology to them, they market it, and then we're able to create a successful experience for everybody.
Very cool. How many water parks are you in?
So we are currently in 10 countries in about 16 different water parks. And when we started the company, we created a partnership with a German water slide manufacturer. So this amazing German company builds these beautiful slides out of stainless steel. They originally started their business by making the toboggan rides that you see sometimes on mountainsides.
Oh yeah.
And
Like an alpine slide type ride.
Exactly, out of stainless steel. And so that's actually how they started their business. And at some point about 15 years ago, they said, hey, we should modify these and make water slides too. So the water slide industry is a fascinating and amazing market, right? Two big Canadian companies actually are the top two manufacturers for water slides.
Okay.
Both founded by former professional skiers. And then you've got a Turkish company that's able to undercut their prices and copies a lot of those guys' designs.
Okay.
And so there's a competition between the three of these. And then the German company is like the up and coming fourth company in this market that's always looking for new innovative ideas. And so they really wanted to put VR on their water slides about 3 years ago. And that's when we met up with them and decided to build a system that allows us to put virtual reality on existing water slides.
Got it. So in this case, you're not immersed in the water, you're actually going down a slide, but because you're still in a wet environment, you had to build equipment and everything to handle that.
Exactly, yeah. So we leveraged our original idea of putting VR in the water to build this technology around the headset, and decided that this would become our niche, aquatic VR, anything to do with water parks or resorts around the world. So that's a long-winded way of saying that a lot of the parks that we're in are in Europe, just because we have an established partnership out there. We're expanding to Asia next month. We're in South America, down in Colombia. We're in a few places in Mexico.
What about stateside?
In the States, the biggest partner that we have here is called Kalahari Resorts.
Okay.
And they've created an incredible business model themselves. They operate year-round indoor water parks that also have 2,000 hotel rooms.
Similar to like Great Wolf Lodge.
Yep, and then big conference centers attached to them.
Okay.
So in the summer months and in the holiday periods, their water parks are really busy. And the rest of the year, they're hosting conferences there and having families come and enjoy the water park while the conferences are going on. And so again, they were somebody that took an existing business model and then really kind of beefed it up and have done incredibly well. So that's who we've launched with in the United States, and we're excited to be adding our fourth location with them in Texas when they open that in November of 2020.
Awesome. How did this all happen? Tell us the journey that it took to get... Actually, let's back up even further. Tell us how you ended up in the VR world, and then we'll talk about the journey of Diver.
Sure. I went to film school. I went to UCLA. I studied documentary film. My goal at that time in life was to go out into the world and learn as much about it as I could and tell stories and share experiences. I loved going and seeking out unique experiences and then capturing a little snippet of that and trying to share that with as many people as I could. This wound up, this had me working in different media companies in the online media world for
Yep.
a couple of years. So I was at Vox Media in the early days. I went to Reddit for a little while, created a creative team there, and then was
Well,
at,
just all the tiny places.
yeah, they do some amount of web traffic. And then as VR started to emerge, I was recruited to go work at Discovery, and they were doing some really interesting things in the virtual reality space. So I saw this as my opportunity to become an expert in that, and was very lucky that they sort of gave me a very healthy budget to go out and develop content and experiment and do both 360 documentaries and interactive, sixed off virtual reality pieces. So I was spending a lot of time thinking about virtual reality. And
So you're starting to develop the storytelling capability in the VR world, the technical capabilities, etc.
and building up the network inside that world too, and getting to know some of the people that were doing important things. So one night, I came home, flipped on Netflix, and I started watching Stranger Things. And there's an episode on season 1 where Eleven is placed in a sensory deprivation tank. Have you ever done the
I have. I've experienced it before.
Okay, so
it's cool.
You lay on your back, you float in salt water.
And the air temperature is matched to the water temperature, so you almost don't
They
even
close a
notice
lid
it.
and it's all black, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's a space to meditate, right?
Uh-huh.
And I had done a few of these in San Francisco at that time, but when I saw this scene, she's wearing this kind of space helmet, and it got me thinking, I wonder if we could actually make you feel like you're an astronaut if we were to replace what you're seeing with space content in virtual reality. So that was the idea, and I think I had had an interest in being an entrepreneur for a very long time. Like, I did some stuff in high school around making T-shirts. I produced a show when I was at The Verge, Vox Media, about entrepreneurs and their startups. And so I've always had this curiosity and this fascination, and kind of hoped that one day I would be able to have an idea and take it to the next level. And as I had this idea, I went out to dinner that night with a friend who's CEO of a hardware company, and I told him the idea, and he pushed me. He said, "Do it. This is great. Like, there's something here." So he gave me the confidence to actually start looking around for money and seeing if we could actually get funding for it. At that time, I did not know what the business model was. I didn't know anything about the water
Just an
park
idea
industry.
at this point.
Just an idea, and it was a crazy idea. People would look at me and be like,
Say what?
"That's dumb. Like, come on, that's stupid." And then it was, after a few months of just trying to figure out what was going to happen with it, that I got in touch with somebody who helped create the Flow Rider, which is a standing wave.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that, where people surf
that's
in
a
place?
cool experience.
So through somebody in my network that was from San Diego, where I grew up, I got in touch with Tom Lochtfeld, who's the founder of Flow Rider. And he had me speak with his son on the phone for about an hour, and his son gave me the download on the water park industry. And that's how I got to know everything about these manufacturers and what conferences I should be at, and what I needed to know about what I didn't know, essentially. And so then, as I started to figure out what this business model looked like, we had this partnership with the Germans. We were starting to sell products, and before we knew it, we were profitable right off the bat. So
Before you even found an investor.
we still haven't taken on investment.
You've just bootstrapped this.
We've
from day
bootstrapped the
one.
whole thing. Yeah,
Developed a VR product with no outside funding.
that's right.
That's incredible.
And I think a lot of the we wouldn't have been able to do that if we hadn't been smart about the parts that we used in these systems. We took a lot of existing parts and put them together to create something new. And so that prevented us from needing to raise money to develop certain pieces of technology that were out there already and just
You were able
needed
to
to be
pull the off-the-shelf parts together to make what you needed.
Yeah, I mean, when we were doing the first water slide development in Germany, it was just a lot of orders on Amazon. Mm-hmm. We were just getting a lot of different pieces from different places on Amazon and putting them all together, and we're able to actually create unique technology through that. So now we have patents around the designs of everything that we've made, And we've actually been able to invest money into making things the way that we want them and creating unique pieces that serve our purposes. But yeah, in the very beginning, before we really had the budget to do so, it was R&D was just kind of pulling stuff off the shelf and putting it together.
What was your poop to gold moment? Everybody goes through them. Everyone has to overcome incredible challenges. What was yours?
Yeah, I think okay. When we moved to Germany, so we got this deal with the German partner.
So you actually packed up and went over there.
Yeah, I had to quit my full-time job because now we finally had a source of revenue, and convinced my two co-founders to come out to Germany with me because we needed access to a water slide 24/7 essentially. So we moved and lived at a water park for 6 months in the hotel. And
So you're very used to the chlorine smell.
this environment does not affect me anymore at all.
Yeah, we're sitting here next to a hotel pool, and I keep having to blink because my eyes are starting to feel the effects of the chlorine.
I'm immune
fumes.
to it. Yeah, I probably have a lifespan of only 10 more years. Let's see. We lived in a hotel for 6 months, which has its challenges. We're all getting to know each other as co-founders at the same time. So it was an incredible bonding experience. We were making a product that we didn't know if it was going to be liked or accepted or successful or technologically if it would break every 2 days. We just did not know what was happening. And so it was a leap of faith upon leaps of faith. It was a lot to go through at that time, and unclear what the future looked like. But at the same time, it was an incredible adventure. We're all getting to live out in Bavaria through Oktoberfest and through the winter of Bavaria and the spring, and building up a camaraderie and getting to understand our customers. Right, by getting to live at the water park, we got to understand how things operate there and what pieces of software we needed to build to make this easy for their operation. Mm-hmm. So it was a really, really great way to start a company, to dive right into this world, to spend 24/7 in it all the time. And so anyway, this was all a fun moment. But right after that, we hadn't really lined up a second sale on the product. And so there was this whole period where we had just started this company, we had actually deployed this product. We think things are just going to start ringing off the hook. Mm-hmm. Because, hey, this exists, so why isn't everybody coming to...
Everyone should, right?
Yeah, because it's great. And look, there's smiles on people's faces. People love it. But we didn't understand anything about sales cycles, and especially water park sales cycles. Everybody plans for certain seasons, and they're not always looking to make investments or to spend a lot of money at certain points in the year.
Yeah, so for context for our listeners, a sales cycle is like a gallon of milk, right? The sales cycle is I'm at the grocery store, I look at it, I make a decision, and I'm done. Yeah. But when I'm buying a $1,000 mattress, I might think about it for a week. And when I'm buying a $40,000 vehicle, I might think about it for 6 months. Yeah. And when a company's thinking about, a sizable investment for their company, sometimes that can take weeks, months, sometimes even years, right?
There's layers of decision making that it has to go through. And you have to be able to make that job easy for those people at that organization. That's what I discovered. You need to approach them with all of the data that they are eventually going to ask for anyway, and just hand that to them on the first point of contact. So if I talk to the general manager of a water park and I'm reaching out to him, I'll tell him, hey, this is how many guests you can expect per month to use this product and to pay extra to use this product. And right away, that makes his conversation with whoever the board is or whoever the owner is that much more fluid from the very beginning, because he's got this information that he or she can use to then go to bat for this product. So the poop moment was, after this blip of, okay, we've done it, we went through 6 months where we didn't have any revenue. And the co-founders basically just decided to live cheaply and be very conservative about where we were going and what we were developing. And it was at that time that we started working on the development for our second product. And one of our advisors told us that this was a crazy idea to start development on a second product before we had even really figured out the sales on the first product. but it ended up being what saved the company, even in that early phase, and then what has put us on a path to incredible success since then. So that transition was really just, understanding the market, understanding what information you need to give to people when you're selling something to them, understanding that we have a technology product that is being offered to an industry that doesn't necessarily work with technology very much. So you have to message it in a way that is familiar to them. And just getting better about understanding what they have budgets for and how we can work within that. So it turns out that with Diver, we have a very interesting business model with revenue shares. So we essentially ask them to make a small down payment to cover the cost of the hardware. And after that, we'll do some sort of percentage of the revenue share from what comes in from that. And that's really successful because it takes away the barrier to entry for them. We're not trying to sell them a system that is $100,000, $80,000, something like that. We're only asking them to pay a little bit of money and to enter into a partnership with us and to both market it as best we can to let people know about it. Discovering little things like that and ways to reduce the friction for these customers ended up being a big stepping stone and has changed the business dramatically.
That's phenomenal. Stephen, where can our listeners learn more about Diver?
Yeah, our website is ballastvr.com. So Diver is the product, the snorkeling product. Ballast is the company. And we're on all the social media as BallastVR.
BallastVR. VR as in virtual reality.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Any little sneak peeks you'd like to give to our audience? Anything coming down the pipeline?
We really want to push the limits on our content and what experiences we're offering. We would love to bring in existing IP. So whether that's, comic book characters that people might be familiar with or animated movies that might be really popular, we're working on bringing some of those partnerships into what we're doing and taking the nature of our experiences and amplifying what worlds we're able to bring to life inside the headset.
Gotcha. So if you're a Disney VP listening to From Poop to Gold, you know to reach out to Stephen.
I hope you have my email, and I've been waiting for yours.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us on the show, Stephen. It's been a pleasure getting to experience Diver, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you better.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. For our listeners, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. We all kind of reach that point where we know we've created something awesome, and we want to share it with the world, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that very next step that can oftentimes be really intimidating or really scary, or you just don't know where to go next, right? And the beautiful thing about this 14-day script challenge is you get your hand held from, okay, you have this cool product, now let's go research and find the exact way to present it and message it to the world in a way that resonates and gets people excited and they're ready to swipe their credit card and purchase. And in the 14-day script challenge, you get the opportunity to go through that step by step with our writers who have done it dozens and dozens of times.
You actually watch us go through each of the steps ourselves and create it with a real client, a real product, and it's a real campaign that's out there that's been very successful.
That's right. And the feedback that we've had on this thing has just been phenomenal. I mean, we get comment after comment and emails flowing in from people all over the world who have just raved about the impact that this has had on their business.
People tell us over and over again, it is just a huge value punch for the investment for this 14-day script challenge, and really gave them the tool set they needed to walk through it and make it happen.
And we've had dozens of students who have successfully taken the challenge, written their script, launched their ad campaigns, and driven success for their business. It's pretty amazing.
For more information, go to hbros.co/script. That's hbros.co/script.